So, hi guys. Good day sa inyo So, we'll discuss for today's meeting, we'll discuss about algorithms and flow. So, bali guys, ang algorithms and flowcharts is very important sa programming. It's because this is the first step before you program things, 'di ba? For example, sa inyo ang kung nag-research mo sa una like wait For example, 'di ba sa una if naamoy research or thesis, no? The very first thing is that dili man mo diretso mag methodology or mag application, no? Magunahuna sa mo unsa inyo ang dapat ipang buhaton. So, programming is very the same on that way. Take for example, creating a letter, no? When you are creating a letter, you don't actually just go to the body diretso, 'di ba? 'Di ba napaman ay process? First, you need to create header. Then next, kay address, of course. 'Di ba? Diya sa header, then body. 'Di ba? Unsay content sa imuhang letter. Then the last thing is salutatory or kanang ending statements, no? Ending statements, then salutations, 'di ba? Remarks. Like respectively yours, sincerely yours, inana. So, creating a letter and creating a program is very the same thing, no? Kaya naa siya process nga agian. So, it's very the same also in creating a research, no? You need to create the objective, create the significance, create a diagram, no, of kanang unsay visual representation sa imuhang program para when you kanang dito na ka sa implementation na dayon kabalo na ka kung unsa ang imuhang buhaton, no. Sige, let's start. Let me show you my screen. uh, so algorithms and flowcharts, no. Algorithms and flowcharts, a typical programming task can be divided into two phases. Number one is problem solving phase, and number two is implementation phase. As I've said, no, about problem solving phase, you need to actually create first the kanang unsay mga importante, no, unsay mga objectives, unsay dapat buhaton sa usa ka program. So meaning planning, no, magplano sa kauna. Ikadua is implementation or sa research pa is methodology, no? This is the phase where you create steps and procedures. And of course, sa implementation phase gyapon ang troubleshooting, no? So, steps in problem solving. So, first, produce a general algorithm or a pseudocode. So, what does pseudocode mean? It is an artificial and informal language that helps programmers develop algorithms. So, bali guys, ang pseudocode differs from programmers, no? Kumbaga, ang pseudocode is depende kung kinsa ang programmers. Kay lahi-lahi man tag ideas, no? So maong it differs. For example, write an algorithm to determine a student's final grade and indicate whether it is passing or failing. The final grade is calculated as the average of 4 marks. So for example, kana siya nga set of pseudocodes. When I there are some people na pag moingon, there are some people nga detailed oriented. So meaning when they say, for example, input a set of 4 marks, moingon ko nga, input a set of 4 datas and then store it in a variable. Inana. So, depende siya, no? Depende siya sa programmer. So, let's try to create a pseudocode out of this, no? Detailed algorithm. So, kung kanina, set of pseudocode, no? Using a kanang depende dili necessary nga English ng pseudocode. Ang kwan sa pseudocode is to create a kanang statements na mas masabtan nimo dali, no, and then mas ma-transfer nimo siya into algorithm. So algorithm guys is kani example, no. Algorithm is just a representation of your program process, no. So input M1, M2, M3, M4. And then after you input, 'di ba? You know naman how to create an average of based sa inyong mga natun-an sa una, no, sa math, no? I-add lang nimo tanan data and then i-divide nimo siya kung pila ka buok data, no? So muna siya ang summary. Then if grade is less than 50, print fail. Else print pass. No, let's create simple programming kuan ano no. So I will not require you to create a programming sa karon guys. It's because we need to tackle first the important aspects no of kanang programming. So I want you to know kung unsay mga steps na buhaton or mga skills no or knowledge na you need to acquire first before maka-hands-on mo og programming. So for example, let's create a simple program out of this. So to create one, we need an input. So how do we create an input on Python? So first, no, we need to ano mo guna? Although guys, si Python is kabalo siya kung um integer ba na or kanang state string ang imong ginabotang. So it's very important yapon no to actually um inyo siyang specify kung unsa ang iyang data type. So kaning int guys, I will explain it later on no sa mga next na to nga mga lessons unsa ang data type. But for now, you may try kung unsa kuan or pwede mo mag-study on your own kung unsa ni siya no. Data types are simply a classification kung unsa siya no kay para kani mangong we need to classify manggod kung unsa ang value or ang objects kay para if ever nga kanang mag-create ta og programming codes mas dali mabaw-an sa computer or ni compiler no kung unsa ang iyahang i-process kay kung kwan for example di ba statement suppose sentence plus number do you think it's kwan kanang um logical, no? Logical ba nga mag-add ka og statement or string niya i-add nimo sa integer, di ba? Dili. So inana siya, no? So inana si Python with or sa programming, you need to actually kuan gyud kanang specify, no? Kung unsa siya nga data type. Copy paste first, no? Switch this one to M2, M3, M4. So kada, we have already a set of statements that kanang ask the user to kanang magbutang og data, upat ka data, no? Enter number 1, number 2, number 3. Example ra ni guys ha, you can actually pwede ninyo ni i-list down kung gusto niyo i-try. So ana. Of course, do not forget parentheses, no? So kung pila ang parentheses na imong gibutang diri guys, mo po dapat ang parentheses nga ma-end. Kung sa starting parentheses, mo po ang starting nga um mo po ang starting na mo po ang ending parentheses I mean kana. So after we create the inputs no dito na din ta sa process. So solution. So simple math. How do we do this? Grade is equals to M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4. Then, create parentheses again. So guys, pwede naman siya nga dili ka mag-parentheses, no? Because si Python kabalo man gyapon. Pero, I would advise you gyud na magbutang mo og parentheses because kung para mas masabtan, no? Kay even if tsada ang imong pag-program guys, pero ang source code nimo is dili bitaw hanay, no? Dili ma-appreciate sa client or sa imong mga kauban nga mga programmers pohon, no? If gusto man kamo mag-programmer ani nga field, dili nila ma-appreciate because dili hanay or dili kanang lain tanawon ba sa inana nga pagastorya bitaw ikaw rin makasabot sa imong code inana. The next is the condition statement. So, of course, ako na-explain later on sa atong mga meetings, no? But for now, condition statement is just simply a statement, no? Nga kanang ga-determine kung unsa ang course or next action sa usa ka program. So, when fail. So notice guys na nagbuhat ko og kanang nanay kanang tawag ani tabs dira na spacing. So si Python guys, it's very kanang kuan siya kanang grabe kay siya ka kuan nga language because you don't actually need to create, if you are familiar with C programming, you don't actually need to put parentheses na, no? Or I mean kanang brackets, no? Dili na ka magbutang og brackets sa iyaha. Ang iyang gabuhaton para to determine if kana siya is member sa iyahang condition, no? Kay tabs, no? Which I will explain later on sa tuang mga lessons, no? But for now, just kuan, tanaw lang ninyo guys ha kung unsa ni siya. Sobraan siya isa. Okay. So let's try to run. Enter tag data. Wait. Para hinlo atong code. Run module. 1, 2, 3, 4. So fail, no? Kaya ang average niya is less than 50 man. But let's say let's create a 85, 90, 90, 75. Pass, no? So inana. That's a very basic example of how you will create or how you will transfer an algorithm to a programming code. So let's go to flowcharts. No? So what is a flowchart? So there's actually two kinds of or two important things that you need to remember when you create a flowchart. So number one is dictionary. So dictionary is a schematic representation of a sequence of operations. Now, technical is a graphical representation of the sequence operations in an information system or program. So let's go with um, of create one sa flowchart. Let's go with example of a flowchart. So for example, ang dictionary is kaning nga part, kaning use in flowchart, then ang technical is kaning mga symbols. So inana lang, no? So a flowchart, so let me ko na lang. Drawing na ako. Where's the pen? Kani na pen. So kani nga part guys, mo na siya ang dictionary technical. Okay? Kana. So, a flowchart shows logic of an algorithm, emphasizes individual steps and their interconnections, and control flow from one action to the next. So, meaning, algorithm and flowcharts are very the same. However, ang ilahalang difference is that ang flowchart is a visual representation through creating objects, no? While ang algorithm is pure statements. So, inana lang ang iyang explanation. So, example, kana. So, di ba? That is an example. Atong gibuhat ka ganina is kanang simple algorithm. Then, sa simple algorithm, we create a visual representation of it through a flowchart, no? So, gibuhatan na to siya og design using objects like this, no? Please memorize this one because this is very important, no? Kani? Sorry. This is very important since you will actually learn, no? You will actually learn kung unsa ni siya. Dili lang ni siya diri magamit guys ha because if you are familiar with block diagram, flowchart concept mapping, unsa pa? ERD, entity relationship diagram, which I know that you will kanang tackle soon, no, sa inyong journey as a ECE, especially sa inyong thesis. It's very important that right now you know the importance or the basic flowchart symbols, no. Dagan kay kang applications makita mabaw-anan, especially with those people who'd like to kanang focus on project management ng mga fields or inana nga mga trabaho. So So next, example number 2, write an algorithm and draw a flowchart to convert the length in feet to centimeter. So number 1, no, step 1, input length. Then from length, transform it to centimeter. No, step number 2, then print LCM. So how do we do that? Let's go with program. How to program that one? No. So first is what? Input length. So kani enter a length. No? Enter a length. Then next is to convert that one. So unsa may conversions ana centimeter, no, equals int sorry. Um length times 30.48. Why? Anong 30.48? Very simple kuan, di ba? Very simple math. Sorry. Dito na lang to sa paint. Diba? Very simple math, guys. Diba? If you have very simple math. If you have 30 centimeter, if you have 1 feet, no? 1 feet, i-times ni mo na siya para ma-cancel ning feet. What will you do? Diba? Find the conversion from feet to centimeter, which is 30.48. Pwede nyo na i-google, guys. Centimeter. Sorry, guys, akong pan. So, ma-cancel na siya. So, times, no? So, which means na whatever value nga mabutang dire, like for example, x value, x feet, no? Times 30.48. So, if we code this one, inana ang resulta. Then, after that one is print. No? Simple. Print lang. CM. So, let's try to run. 1, 30.48. So, ana lang, no? So, very simple step on sa programming. Start na siya nga symbol, no? It's actually very the same with oval, no? Oval din siya day. Pero ginani lang niya og forma. So, oval, no? Or sa amo ani is kuan. Basta kay circle nga kanang medyo elongated gamay, no? Muna siya start and beginning. So start, then sa input or input nga kanang flowchart, no, kani parallelogram. Then process, of course, rectangle, no? Result kani nga program, I mean kani nga object or symbol, no? Kani, no? Output of operations or hybrid. Then, of course, end statement, no? Sa oval gyapon. So, inana, example. So, write an algorithm and draw a flowchart that will read the two sides of a rectangle and calculate its area. So, let's go with the algorithm. No, kana, input, width, and length. After that one, times nimo ang width and length, makuha nimo ang area, then print A. So, it's actually very the same with this one. However, ang nalahi lang is ang procedure. So, if you are so your knowledge of mathematics ani guys is sa programming is very crucial because ang programming og mathematics dili na sila maglayo, no? Because most of the process that programming uses is based on kanang mathematics, no? So if you are familiar with kanang simple formulas, simple calculations, so lamang kani nga side, no, sa kanang programming. But don't worry because programming isn't just about calculations and mathematics man po. So let's go with this one. So how do we code? Hindi na natin mag-delete. No? So una, mga tag length, then mga tag ikaduha na sad, which is ang width. After that one, area is equals to length times width. Then print area. No? Una, nangayo tag input, gi-times na to silang duha, print. Let's go. Area is 20. Sorry. Ito na i-change kay pangit tanawon. So length is 20, width is 20, so 400. So ana mo na yang area, no? So let's go with example 4. So kani medyo kuti, no? Write an algorithm and draw a flowchart that will calculate the roots of a quadratic equation. You're familiar naman with quadratic equations, di ba? Quadratic equations from the word quad is square, no? Let me erase this one. So meaning, if you have having a Cartesian plane, a quadratic equations is inani. No? Inana. So kung imo siyang i-translate ang yang equation, so inana ang forma or or anything, no? From itself quad. So meaning two sides, no? Muna siya ang quadratic equations because that's why na negative and positive roots ang quadratic equations. It's because of kanang inana nga side. So kani. So we'll create a program na mag-calculate og quadratic equation. So una is input the coefficients a, b, and c of the quadratic equations. Next, calculate d. Next, calculate x1. Next, calculate x2 and then print. So simple algorithm. Input a, b, c. So let's use the examples that we have. So input a, b, c. Input a, input b, input c. So for this one, guys, we need another type of data type because, di ba, simply ang integer man good guys, from the word integer, dili na siya gabasa og decimals, no? You are familiar naman with that, no? I assume na familiar mo na. So in order si programming, in order to accept decimal numbers, no? It uses a data type called float, no? Float or double. So for now, we'll use float para maka-accept ta og mga decimal kay we know na ang answer aning D x1 and x2 might be a integer, I mean a decimal, no? So it might be good most of the time inana jud ang iyahang answer. So third number. Okay. Let's copy this one. Enter first, second, third number. So okay, manata. So right now, we need to calculate D, no? So how do we calculate D? First is to so kung example ko na square root of calculations ani sa ihang formula, square root of b squared times 4ac, no? So meaning we need to convert this equation into a programming statement. So how do we do that? We need to D is equals to, so guys, the problem with this is that if we use this one, for example, b times b minus 4 b squared minus 4 times a times c. So let's check if kaya ba. So, invalid syntax. So unsa may invalid ana do you think, guys? So ang invalid ani is square root. No, why? Because si Python doesn't understand kung unsa ni siya nga statement. That's why we need to import a library, so which I will explain later on, no, what is this kanang library I am talking about. So simply para karon na lang mo understand, na lang mo knowledge, no, library is kanang mura siya og kanang a set of instructions nga gina-import sa Python para madugangan ang iyang kahibalo. Just simply think of it as kanang, if you're familiar with C programming, no, just think of it as a kanang include, no, nga statements. Or if not, that you are not familiar, sumura na siya og kanang for example, ako wala ko'y student, wala ko'y nahibaw-an sa kanang math. So what will I do? Diba? Mag-research. Diba? And then from that research, i-add na ko akong mga na-research sa akong natun-an, then i-apply na ko. So, just the same concept with importing libraries. No? Ato na siyang i-tackle next. So, import math. So, si math, import math, siya ang library nga kanang responsible for all kinds of math equations. So, kana. Una is, first number, 5. So muna yang di. So guys, di ba you are familiar naman with if you are not familiar with quadratic equations, so ang quadratic equations ang pinakadako gid nga value ana is b, no? So mo man ang mag-determine sa iyang slope good, mo nang mas dako gyud ang b. So let's say for example, if for example dako ang ato ang if for example dako ang ato ang A, no, sa ato ang B. So mag-math domain error siya. Why? Because ang value ana is not a imaginary. So inana nga word, no? So it's very important na ang imong programming language or imong programming statement is kanang same sila sa imong mathematical equations pod nana, no? Dili sila maglayo. Let's go with x1. Calculate x1. So x1 is equals to, so x1 is equals to float, then of course minus b plus d, to parenthesis, divided by 2 times a. Then let's copy na lang dayon sa x2 because it's very the same. However, ang nakalahi lang is kani nga operation. Tangan na siya, plus ni diri, minus ni diri, then x2 para makuha yung mga roots. Then let's print x1, x2. Let's run it. First number, 3, 5, 2. So muna yung result, no? 1.0, negative 0.6, and negative 0.1. So, muna siya, no? Saan siya pag-transfer ang algorithm to programming codes. So, kana. From this, process, input, process, then output, and statement. Decision structures, no? Decision structures, the expression A is greater than B is a logical expressions, no? So it just means na guys na kung um when you are kanang programming or when you are kanang most programming languages guys kay uses decision structures because kanang it's very important because kanang if you are for example sa daily life nato di ba kasagara natong ginabuhat is kanang ga-decide man ta it means na whenever we decide something for now for example karon ang ako ang mag-decide ko whether to speak or to write, no? Or to teach. So inana, ang decision from the word decision, no? It just means na when you are kanang programming o mag-program mo, most of the time you will be deciding, no? It's very important po sa programming na you know kung naay desisyon na apoy unsay mga actions no nga pamuhaton no so for example if then else structures so sa Python guys halos tanan programming languages uses if then and else no so I think cprog java python sa pa yung mga PHP. So halos sila tanan guys gagamit og if then else structures. So as I've said no after ka nga na kay decision statement if so diha dayon mo gawas ang imo unsa nga action ang imuhang buhaton no after sa decision na action if dili mao ang decision then proceed to another one so inana let's go with this example. So the algorithm for the flowchart is as follows. No? When it's a yes or it's a no. So if yes, print A. If no, print B. So nabahin din siya sa kaninga object. No? This is a decision object. Let's go back here. Kani. No? Diamond. So denotes a decision. So for example, let's go. Sige. Kani sa ta. Relational operators. So si if else guys is also kaning if else structure and relational operators gauban gyud ni sila most of the time no. Na may usahay nga dili na sila gauban pero most of the time maguban gini sila because si relational operators kay muna siya ang ga-determine most of its kanang functions or purpose is to determine kung unsa ang decision sa usa ka program. So for example, operator greater than, less than, equal to, no? I think you are familiar with it because this is kanang purely mathematics, no? So algorithm, write an algorithm that reads two values, determines the largest values, and then identify message. So number one, input, no? The same with what we did. If then else. If value is greater than value 2, max value 1. If else, max value 2. Print the largest value na yun. So example kani, no? Start input value 1, input value 2, max value 2. So I actually have a prepared program for this, no? So as you can see sa flowchart guys, kita ninyo dire, no? Nga kani palang daan diri dapit naa diri ang decision statement. So after mag-decide if yes or no, na din ang process. Kana. So, after sa process din guys, mag-determine siya kung sa asa aning duha ang mas dako. So, if dako si max value 1, ang iyang i-print is ang value ni value 1. If dako si value 2, ang iyang i-print is ang value ni value 2, no? Sa as maximum then end statement. So, I actually have a program na ready na ani. Let's go with this one. No? Print na lang na ako ni diri. Kay madugayan ta. Ay, sorry. Sorry. Let's go. So guys, again, pag mag-else statement gali mo guys, ayaw mo kalibot nga ibutang siya sa tab. Kay ang tab, ang pasabot ana is mao na siya, diya siya nabilong nga statement or na condition, no? If for example, ibutang na ko ana, example let's try to run. Error, no? Expected unindented block. So, make sure na i-indent ninyo siya. Run. So, for example, 5 and 7. What do you think is kanang mugawas ani, di ba? 7. Max value is 7 or second value, no? So, inana siya. Let's go with nested ifs. So, nested ifs is just the same with decision statement. Ang nakalahi lang ani from the word nested, it means nga nasa ifs 1, no? Tapos another ifs na sa iyang sunod nga statement. So, we'll see on how we will do it, no? Para mas masabtan ninyo, let's have an example. Write an algorithm that reads 3 numbers, then print the value of the largest number. Enter the first value. Kana, muna yung example, no? Muna ang algorithm. So, ang algorithm, 3 inputs. Then, if n1 is greater than n2, if n1 is greater than n3, then max n1. So, I think it's understandable naman, guys, no? I will not explain it yun ug maayo because I know na you understand the math, no? Kay, if n1 is greater sa tanan, di ba? Print n1. If n1 diri dapit is less than n3, no? Mag-print ka else o n3, no? Muna siya, n3 is greater than n1 and n3 is greater than n1, greater than n2, no? Sa kaning so sa kanilang daan nga statement, mabaw-an na ninyo kung unsa ang iyang value or unsa ang iyang murag output, no? Ana. So let's have a programming let's have a programming example for this one. Let's have this. So the same with mag-create tag tulo ka. After that one, mag if else ta. So notice guys, di ba? Na-gets to ninyo why it is called kanang nested, di ba? Base pa lang sa sa programming diri, di ba? Nested siya. It's because ang if na kaning duha sulod siya sa usa ka if. Si else nasa sulod nga if and else. That's why it's called nested because naa siya if else inside sa usa ka if else. So let's try to run. First value 4, 3, 2. So ang pinakadako is 4. No, let's have another one. 5, 6, 1. So 5. So inana, no? This is how you will kanang transform a mathematical statement into a programming code or source code. So for this one guys, I will leave this one sa inyo ha. This will be our programming assignment or I mean programming activity na atong buhaton next meeting, no? This will be our example how to transform this one into a programming activity. Of course, hands-on guys, dapat makita nako yun sa ninyo ha. Sige guys, so for example, kani siya guys, ako na ipa-homework sa inyo. So, kani siya, ipa-homework na ko niya sa inyo that you will pass, no, next meeting. I mean, next week, no, next week, Tuesday. So, you need to create a algorithm using this one, no? So, just read this homework activity, then ask questions, of course, kung saan ninyo siya, no? So bali, it's very the same with what we've discussed so far. You create a flowchart from the algorithm that you create, no? So how do you order at Jollibee? Of course, these are the examples, no, of a pseudocode. Pero I want you to create your own and then create a flowchart from that, no? Of course, I will discuss what is looping, of course, unya. So additional flowcharts. So additional flowcharts, guys, we have connector and off-page connectors. So to have a simple drawing instructions, um, wala man gay kuan diri. Wala siya, wala siya off-page connector, no? So let me see. Kani, nice na nag-loading na. So kani ang example mo ni siya da guys katong gingon ganina nga kanang tawag ani. Muna siya akong gingon ganina nga kanang website or web applications now you can use. Ah, naglag. Okay. Excuse. So here, dagan kay siya mga examples no in unsaon pag-create og flowcharts. So for example kani just search this one lucidcharts .com. So for example kana off page link, then we'll have a process. So we'll copy this one. Sorry. Copy. Then we'll create a connector, no? Process. Copy lang natin ni. Then of course, guys, siya na magbuhat ani og iyang kaugalingon nga mga lines, no? So you don't actually need to kanang magkuan. So I don't know if mugana ni siya sa mga mobile phones, no? Pero sa mga PC guys, I'm giving you a kuan lang in advantage, no? On saon ninyo siya pag-create nga simple and then nice tan-awon ang inyong flowcharts. Pero sa katong wala guys, don't worry because ang importante is ang concept, no? Ang design second lang na siya. So for example kani, so ang connector guys, it means na for example for example, from this one, ang connector is mabaw-an nga ang kani siya nga process or kani siya nga flowchart connected siya aning A, no? Mura siya og kanang ginagamit ni siya guys if you have a different sheets or different flowcharts tapos you want it nga instead of inanay bitaw for example inanion ninyo o di ba? For example, inanayon okay, for example, inanayon ninyo inyong project. So instead nga inanaon ninyo siya, ang connector, ang purpose niya is to eliminate that kind of design then ibutang ninyo siya as inani, no? Para pagtan-aw sa kanang users ninyo or sa inyong clients or sa anyone na kanang look at your flowchart, hanay siya, no? Isa ni siya ka kanang flowchart diri, then isa po ni siya ka flowchart diri. Pero ay flow lines, I mean, not flowcharts but flow lines. Isa siya ka flow lines diri kana, isa pod ka flow line diri. So mas hanay. Then ang off-page connector is used the same with connector but ang difference ani is for example, napuno nang imo ang first page o flow lines o flow charts, no? I mean flow lines. So you want the flow lines to kanang mag-create kag another flow line sa usa ka chart. Usa ka another page, no? Sa imong kuan, sa imong flowchart dito nimo ibutang, no? So to connect the two flow lines from two different pages, no? Mag-create or gamiton nimo ni si off-page link, no? Kani. So kana sequence flowcharts, I think it's understandable. Decision flowcharts, looping flowcharts. So si looping flowcharts guys, very good example ani kay For example, you have this one, and then gusto ka nga kanang mo balik ana nga process, no? So inana. So ang looping flowchart sa programming, no, is the same with this statement. While true. Let's try to run. 2, 3. So, you see, di ba? Nakita ninyo na nakuha ninyo kana nibalik siya sa iyahang pagpangayo sa kanang mga values. So muna siya example of a looping flowchart or a looping programming code. No, si looping flowchart ni example niya, ibalik niya sa beginning or sa any process na you want to loop. So repetition or iteration, it's actually the same with looping, no? And then kana enter a number between 1 to 9, accept number until number is greater than 1 or number is greater than 100. So, we'll not dwell with it na because I will teach you how to create a looping statements later on. But I think you already understand the concepts. So, if you have any questions, please go to kanong YouTube link, comment down below or there, or sa atong discussion or sa atong meeting, please ask questions, of course, guys, ha. So that would be it, and thank you for listening.